It is Friday.
Yes, it is.
As the saying goes, it's been a long month this week.
Ooh, it really has. Even today.
It's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. We're going to get to the hyper-local here in a quick minute, but the news that a lot of folks woke up to this morning, and maybe if they obviously went to bed after 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock last night, another heartbreaking story, horrible story, catastrophic story out of Indianapolis.
Yeah, in the last night, the FedEx facility there in Indianapolis, there was a report of 8 people dead there after a mass shooting. From police, they're saying that the shooter committed suicide. He shot himself there, so that it's not an active threat for the community there at large. But we're still not knowing many other details aside from this right now.
This is right, just outside the airport there, the facility, the big FedEx facility there. And so when you talk about mass shootings here in the United States, this is literally just the next one, just in the last number of weeks. It's becoming far too common, and it has been for many, many years in the United States. And so for folks to wake up to this again, the questions get going, the why, and the how do we begin to put the brakes onto something like this. But you see the heartbreak from the police out there, the heartbreak from the family as they show up. 8 dead, shooter, as Liz said, the police believe turned the gun on himself, so not an active threat, but 4 more injured as well. I mean, just devastation, the ripple effects here.
Yeah, and again, this is something that happened overnight, so you may just be waking up and hearing about this, and we hopefully anticipate to find out some more details as families reunite with people who were working, who did survive that incident. So lots of video coming out on Twitter.
Yeah, it's about 10 o'clock our time. Yeah, 11 o'clock Indy time. For us in our part of the world, the headline maker continues to be the forecast, and actually coming up about 9:30, Steve's going to jump on here all over the places and kind of update you about what's going on today, looking towards the weekend. Yeah,
so you may have woken up to some of the thunder and lightning moving through our viewing area. Unfortunately, it may be clearing up a little bit now, but we're not done.
No.
That rain is going to continue tonight in through overnight hours. So a key thing you want to have is a WAFB weather app, free to download, and a great asset if you lose power like we've seen this morning. A great tool to have.
Yeah. Where are we right now with the outages?
So right now, the latest check at about 3 minutes ago, we are under 8,000. That actually changed in the last couple of minutes. So we were at 7,900.
This is Entergy only.
Yes, statewide, just with Entergy. Earlier this morning, we were over, I think, over 13,000.
Yeah.
So in the last 2 hours, that's shifted greatly.
Yeah, it is.
It's good news.
EBR still with about 2,800. Obviously, the big one there, Jefferson. What was that? Iberville as well, better than 1,000 customers apiece. But man, there's some boomers rolling through this morning. The good thing is, Steve was talking about it. Thankfully, they were moving fast.
Yes.
They did, but as you mentioned, not done today. More coming a little bit later on, and then more on Saturday. We may not actually begin to dry out until pre-dawn Sunday. Man, that's a lot.
That's actually why the National Weather Service extended their flash flood watch, so that's going to continue through tomorrow. So just we're thankful, as Matt said, that rain just moved through today. We were talking about how the Acadian Thruway underpass was not
amazing.
Pooling up with water, which y'all know that always does when we get rain. Today, it did not, just a little bit of puddling, but people were driving around it, so that's good news. That's good news.
That is good. That kind of tells you how fast this, and look, I get it, that PTSD, and talk about it, sets in because of 2016. Steve talked about that this morning as well. That's not what this kind of rain event is, where it just sits on you. No lull in it at all. Like for right now, we're kind of in a little bit of a lull. No lull at all for 72 hours. That's not what this is, but still, you go, I've looked at my creek next to my house 12 times a day for the last few days. Just because you get that feeling, right? It's not that. Just got to get through it, and we still got a couple days to do it.
That's it. So please just make sure you're watching out. You're watching out for things in your yard that might catch in the drain. So remove all that and just make sure that those things are staying free so we don't have an issue.
Yeah, no kidding. The other big headline today, and it has been since, of course, Tuesday, the search there in the Gulf of Mexico. Again, going on 4th day now, and divers trying to get back out to that lift boat.
Yeah, so the U.S. Coast Guard, the Heartland Department, they tweeted out overnight that their divers were able to make contact with the hull, I believe, without any luck and any response. They're going to try sending them back out today, but again, this search is dependent on the weather, how far they can go in, what response they're going to get, how many people, how many crews they can send out to safely go search for these 12 missing boaters. So it's really heartbreaking when you think about that, because the family members are just frustrated.
Yeah, and understandably so. They want as much information, obviously, as they can get. Sometimes there's just not a lot of information to give. well, that's okay. Well, tell us that as well. Tell us we just don't have anything new.
Right.
If it's not anything new, then tell us that. But then tell us why. But it is all dependent on the weather. And even if they were to have great weather to get out to the vessel today, crews are saying because of the size of the lift boat, it could be a multi-day search of the vessel to get inside and check all the rooms.
Yeah.
So it could still be a while.
Yeah, and remember, these are divers that are physically going inside underneath the water.
Right.
They're private contractors, and it's amazing what they're able to do if it is safe for them to do it.
So we'll be following that for you today. Obviously, following that for you all weekend, really. One of the other things, actually, this is where our Callie Hubbard started this morning before the rain just went literally
Bonkers.
sideways.
Yeah.
A mass vaccination site, a federal mass vaccination site setting up in Baton Rouge.
Big news coming out of the White House on Monday saying
Yeah.
that Baton Rouge and Tulsa, Oklahoma are going to be two federally funded sites. So this one in Baton Rouge is going to be set up today, starting today, at the Bon Carré Business Center off of Florida Boulevard. And Callie was showing us the tents before some of them tumbled over because of the wind and rain today. But the plan is to still hold those appointments, and they want people to schedule an appointment before just showing up there. The goal is to push out about 3,000 shots a day. That's
right?
a lot.
And they're going to run them Tuesday through Sunday,
Yes.
right? So they take off on Monday, but Tuesday through Sunday, and they're going to run this for like 8 weeks, as mentioned. But yeah, it's an impressive goal to go after. The whole idea of getting as many people vaccinated as possible. Is the weather going to have an impact on that?
Well, we'll see about that. I remember you telling me around noontime it's supposed to be good. So if you're out and about lunch, maybe you get off of work early on Fridays and you schedule your appointment for that time, that might be a good time to swing by.
Might be.
For our friends in the AP, Ascension Parish, Baton Rouge General is setting up clinics every Friday for the next couple weeks. So
their Prairieville campus?
Yes, they are on Highway 73, I believe. They're scheduling Pfizer vaccines for that vaccine clinic every Friday. So you want to go on their website to make an appointment. But everything you need to know about vaccines in your area, easy, handy,
One-stop
story.
shop, trying to keep it updated, and
Yes.
certainly looking a week or two out with those vaccinations.
Yeah.
And they really are changing, certainly with the change with the J&J vaccine.
yeah.
So all that kind of changing. So trying to keep that updated for you.
Yeah.
Fun fact about the federal pop-up mass vaccination sites. Fun fact, and lesser cared for. I was born in Tulsa.
Were you?
There you go. You don't care.
I didn't know that.
You don't care. Nobody cares.
No, I do. That's
There you go.
fascinating.
So the two sites. I was born there in Tulsa.
Tulsa, so that's probably why they picked them. The White House knew
Yeah.
that you had a connection to Tulsa
Correct.
and Baton Rouge.
Right.
So, let's just set up both of them there.
I don't remember a dang
love
thing.
it.
Lived there
I
for
love
like
it.
3 years. Lived there for 3 years.
That's significant.
Oh, the first
3 years of your
well,
life?
like the best 3 years ever.
Wow, there
I
needs to
don't-
be
I
a
don't remember
plaque
everything.
somewhere.
There
And
is.
that's it.
There is. Yes. Apparently, it's like Matt Williams destroyed this particular playground.
In the house you were born in?
It's awful. It's like, thank God they moved because this
Wow.
kid was a terror.
Destruction.
Good luck wherever he goes.
Wow.
So all that going on.
Fun fact of the day.
Stupid, lesser
I
cared for.
love it.
Let's talk a little bit about the world of sports.
Yes.
Something to feel good about in all
Yeah.
this insanity. Now, I don't know about
Okay.
LSU baseball tonight, right? They got a game tonight. They won last night.
It
Nice
would
game
be
against
the
South Carolina.
second of the series, right?
Yeah, they won last night against South Carolina.
Okay.
They got a scheduled start time at 7 o'clock tonight. They should probably move that up to about noon if you're listening. And then their third game would be tomorrow. Well, both today and tomorrow are looking kind of dicey. So I don't know about baseball. Don't know. Don't know.
Thankfully
But-
the girls are traveling.
yeah, the
so
girls
that
on the
might be
road,
okay,
North Carolina State for
yeah.
a little softball. But I know what we really are focused on as far as sports fans down here. There's two big things going on.
Gymnastics.
Huge.
Mighty. Well, they're
Yeah.
in Fort Worth kicking off nationals here. Big deal because they're going to start going up against what, Oklahoma, number one ranked Oklahoma.
Yeah, number one Oklahoma today.
Utah.
LSU is third ranked. And so today in their
Yes.
semifinal round, they go up against number one Oklahoma.
Yes.
They go up against Utah.
Yes.
They go up against Alabama. So Utah and Alabama are both squads that beat them this year.
Yeah.
Utah in regionals, Alabama in a meet earlier, and then Oklahoma. For those who follow gymnastics, Oklahoma is that thorn in the side for LSU and has been for a number of years. Like all the LSU runner-up finishes, guess who won the title? Oklahoma. So there is that thorn in the side.
Yeah.
Top two
Okay.
today from both semifinals make it to tomorrow's championship round.
Big deal.
Huge.
So today leading into tomorrow, and thankfully they're all indoors. So we
Yeah,
don't have to worry about
out there in
any
Fort
of
Worth.
that.
We'll put the roof
Yeah.
on. We'll put the roof on there in Fort Worth. But upstate here in Louisiana
I was just about to say,
tomorrow.
I like your tie. You got both the colors that we are cheering on here in our
Come on
part of
now.
the world. By Bayou Classic, 47th annual Bayou Classic.
It's crazy. I mean, we're talking, we've been talking football
Yes.
springtime, so it's just weird. And Bayou Classic in April is weird. It's not in
Yeah.
New Orleans. Weird.
I know, and I say annual, but they didn't have it last
Well,
year, so
we
I don't
know.
know if it is.
We know what you're talking
yes.
about. But just the fact that it's happening.
Yes.
And it's going to happen here again in Louisiana. And Southern and Grambling fans are going to get together and have it's just fun.
It's awesome. You know, people love to tailgate. People love
Yeah.
to watch this game. People love to trash
Come
talk
on.
leading up to this game.
Well,
we know it.
We got some Southern grads
Oh,
in the
yeah.
newsroom who have been throwing. Yeah, I mean, I'm all in.
So am I. It's fascinating
It
to
is.
watch.
I'm all in.
Because we are rooting for
Go
the Jags.
Jags.
Yeah.
Go Jags. All in.
Yes.
So Independence Stadium up
Yeah.
there in Shreveport, they have about 50% capacity dealing with COVID, so that's going to
Yeah.
put them at about 25,000. We'll see
Yeah.
how crazy it gets. 1:30 kickoff tomorrow. I believe
That's
it's
it.
NBC Sports Network. But yeah, Bayou Classic.
Oh, it
gonna
just
happen.
feels good to say that it's going to happen.
Gonna happen.
Gonna happen.
Gonna happen. Gonna happen. Gonna
Okay.
happen. Gonna happen.
Get
Gonna
it?
happen.
Get
Gonna
it?
All right. Are you
What's
doing?
up?
Are you doing crawfish this weekend?
This weekend, you
I
know,
don't know.
maybe.
Yeah?
I don't know. I had a lot this last weekend.
Can you
but
have too
tomorrow-
much?
No, because you want to make the most of them while they're still big and get the most bang for your
Yeah.
buck. So you know what?
There you
Let
go.
me find out where I want to go get some this
Right.
weekend.
Jump on Louisiana weekend. Of course, we got the bracket going on right
The
now.
bracket.
Voting going on until, where does it say?
2 days and 14 hours left to vote
okay.
for this next
So-
round.
Exactly, for the next round. So
Yes.
you vote every 8 hours, just so you know. And
Look, it's getting whittled down.
It
Look
is.
here.
So again, Battle of the Best crawfish on the Louisiana weekend. You know where else you can find stuff for the Louisiana weekend?
I wonder.
I know. I wonder too.
Right
WAFB Plus,
here.
right here today.
Yeah, Kylie is going to be on here at 3 o'clock outlining your weekend. So if you need help trying to figure out who does have the best
Mm-hmm. Right.
crawfish, she'll tell you, and then you can vote. How about that? She'll make
Come
it
on.
real easy for you.
She does, and she always does. She always
Yes.
does, kind of outlining what's going on. All right, so all that on the pluses. In
Yep.
fact, coming up here in a quick minute, so we're going to
yeah.
jump off right now.
3 minutes.
Coming up in a quick minute,
Yeah.
Steve Caparata, Dr. Steve, from the studio, the
Yeah.
very latest on this round of weather coming our way today, stepping
Yeah.
through the weekend as well.
Yeah, and kind of recapping what we saw this
Yeah,
morning
crazy.
and the after effects that it left. So we're going to leave you with the radar, and
Yep.
Steve is going to jump on in just a little bit.
Yeah, we'll shut up, we promise.
Yeah. Wait, lasting messages. Be safe. Go Jags. Eat crawfish. We
Go
love you.
Tigers, all of it.
All of it.
Bye.
Go Tigers. Bye.
Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Steve Caparata here in the WAFB First Alert Storm Center with an update on this ongoing stormy pattern around the area. And we're going to take a look at what's left in terms of the lingering heavy rain threats and the flooding threats. We're going to update you on the rivers. Still plenty of weather to talk about. Unfortunately, still some more to get through over the next couple of days. For the second morning in a row, some of you probably awakened a little earlier than you would have liked by some noisy storms rumbling through the area. Lots of lightning and thunder coming through once again this morning. Here's what's left on radar right now. The heavy stuff has moved off well to our east. We're left with a little batch of light to moderate rain rolling through Metro Baton Rouge right now. However, you can see west and northwest of Baton Rouge, it is starting to dry out, and give it another hour or so and we should start to dry out around Metro Baton Rouge. Heavy storms have moved off to our east and the coastal Mississippi and Alabama over towards Florida. It tells you how quickly they were moving. That was one little bit of good news this morning. Even though those storms were pretty intense as they came on through, they were moving quickly. So at least that limited somewhat how much rain we picked up, although we just don't need any more, no matter how much it is. And some of you picked up another inch and a half of rainfall this morning. There are some more rain showing up west of Alexandria, but I think most of that is going to stay a little bit northwest of us over the next several hours, and then we'll watch for some redevelopment this afternoon, this evening. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. It's a live look from our Sky 9 camera, brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, Port Allen, looking back over downtown Baton Rouge. Still some drops on the lens, still a little bit of rain coming down, but certainly nothing like what we saw around 5 o'clock or so this morning here in the capital city. Once those rains rolled on through, kind of knocked temperatures down a little bit. 59 degrees at the airport as it stands. Winds out of the east at 7, so as you step out, it is a little bit on the cool side. Look at this time lapse from on top of Our Lady of the Lake, our Sky 9 camera, the lightning popping, and then as the storms move on in for the west, boy, that camera starts bouncing as the winds hit. So big time rain, lots of lightning, and some very gusty winds. And we have seen, unfortunately, the combination of the very soggy ground and soils around the area with some of that wind this morning did bring down some trees. The wind gusts that we've seen so far mostly peaking somewhere in the 35 to 45 mile per hour range, which typically isn't what is going to bring down trees, but with the soil being so soggy, a little easier to bring it down. If you follow me on social media, I posted a picture a little while ago. Our photojournalist Brandon Shackelford was over on Baywell Street. Big tree down there brought down some power lines with it. It's draped across the street. That impacted some schools here in Baton Rouge that have had to transition to virtual learning today because of the power outages and because of that damage in the area. So that was something else we dealt with this morning. So this is the estimated rainfall just from the overnight hours into this morning, and you can see how this you really can kind of make out the path of that heavy cluster of storms from East Texas right across western Louisiana and kind of right across Metro Baton Rouge and then across Lake Pontchartrain. So as we bring it in a little bit closer to the metro area, we're looking at many of us have picked up roughly an inch to an inch and a half of rain, and even a little bit less than an inch of rain in spots. So it wasn't excessive, but as I said before, we just don't need any more. So here's a look at some of the estimated totals, and in a few spots it was even a little bit higher. Closer to Gonzales, we have radar estimating 2 inches or more, close to 2 inches here on the east side of Baton Rouge, close to 2 inches in West Baton Rouge, just west of Port Allen, about 1.25 inches here in Point Coupee Parish, a little bit of west of False River, closer to Opelousas, 2.5 inches of rain estimated. So it was still a soaking. It may not have been excessive rainfall, but just rain that we don't need. All right, this is a busy map, but this is something I put together yesterday. This is a look at some of the rain totals from Tuesday through Thursday. So it does not include the rainfall that we got this morning, but just to give you an idea of how much rain we've seen already this week. Look at Donaldsonville through yesterday, over 9 inches of rain. So probably some spots down here when you add in the rain this morning, close to 10 inches of rain now. Sorrento was near 7 inches of rain. Gonzales to French Settlement, 5 to 6 inches. Look at Maurepas, Springfield, better than 8 inches of rain through yesterday. Here in East Baton Rouge Parish, we've kind of had a gradient through yesterday. The airport was actually among the drier spots in the region. You go 3 1/4 inches there at the airport. But in southern parts of East Baton Rouge Parish, 5, 6, 7 inches of rain. Burbank near Bluebonnet, just under 6 inches of rain. Westminster, so you're kind of talking off Jefferson Highway, close to 7 inches of rain. So you get a look at some of the big totals that we've seen. And I've got a regional perspective. Now, this is Tuesday through this morning, through now. This is a more updated look. And as you look at our scale here, anywhere that goes from the reds into sort of the magentas, the purples, the blues, that's anywhere from 6 to 10 inches or more of rainfall. So you're looking at roughly from parts of Baton Rouge through Hammond, right on down I-10 into New Orleans. Pretty big area here of 6 to 10 inches plus of rainfall since Tuesday. And here's a look at some of the estimated totals. And you've got isolated totals that are even higher than that. So not far from, say, Killian, Springfield, along the northern edge of Lake Maurepas, estimating nearly a foot of rainfall. Near just east of Donaldsonville, estimating about a foot of rainfall. You go down here into parts of Lower Jefferson and Plaquemines parishes, about a foot of rainfall estimated there. Around False River, 7 to 8 inches of rain. And then you've even, where it may not have been as widespread, but even near north of the state line, some isolated pockets of some of the heavier rain. So near Liberty, Mississippi, 8 to 9 inches of rain. Bottom line is just too much rainfall this week. We need a break. The Weather Prediction Center has posted for today a level 3 out of 4, moderate risk of flooding here in red. So basically that kind of runs along the I-10, I-12 corridor and northward. Elsewhere it's a 2 out of 4 or a slight risk of flooding. So already some heavy rain this morning, and unfortunately still some more rain to come later on today. And with the ground being so saturated, that's why they've got that moderate risk of flooding posted. We do remain under a flash flood watch, the vast majority of us, through noon on Saturday on the west side of the Atchafalaya Basin. It officially runs an hour longer, 1 o'clock on Saturday. Now, our local National Weather Service office in Slidell, in their discussion this morning, mentioned it's possible the watch could get extended again into Saturday night, because some indications now we get one more round of rain late Saturday before we finally get rid of this stormy pattern. I'm going to give you a look at that in just a moment. A few strong to severe storms not out of the question today and tonight. So the Storm Prediction Center has a level 1 out of 5. Marginal risk of severe weather posted area-wide today into tomorrow morning. I did get a couple of reports this morning of some small hail out of some of those storms. Looked like mostly some pea-size hail from a couple of you, but that threat largely is some hail and maybe some damaging winds not out of the question. We did have some warnings closer to Acadiana and southwest Louisiana this morning. I know back in East Texas, some of those storms produced some strong winds. Some of those warnings came as far as St. Mary and Lower St. Martin parishes, although I have not heard of any damage down that way. Let's give you a look at what's ahead now. It's what you need to know, right? So still a little bit of rain in the area this morning. By lunchtime, we should be enjoying a bit of a lull, with a lot of it having shifted off to our east and to our south down along the coast. But watch what happens into the afternoon. Starting to see some renewed development of showers, maybe a few storms. And by 6 o'clock this evening, rains continuing to increase around the area. And tonight, just more kind of rolling west to east. This is at midnight tonight and into the overnight. Some of that continues. Here we are nearing daybreak on Saturday, still looking at scattered to numerous showers and a few storms. And then again tomorrow may not be too different in that we get a lull late morning, lunchtime, and the HRRR indicates there's another wave to come later Saturday. Here we are, 4 o'clock, more showers and storms moving in from the southwest. It has that rain continuing Saturday night. Here we are at 9 o'clock. And then as we get into the overnight, finally exiting from west to east Sunday morning. By the time you wake up on Sunday, it should finally get out of here. So that's why we could see the flash flood watch extended even a bit longer. Here's what the models are showing for Baton Rouge going forward now. 6 models plotted here, and you got anywhere showing up from 1 to 3 inches of rain still going forward. And I kind of like that numbers. That's also in line with what the Weather Prediction Center has. So think of those as average totals. Certainly could go higher in spots where we get some locally heavy rain. So 1 to 3 inches of rain typically in our part of the world. That's not that big of a deal. We get 1 to 3 inch rains all the time, right? Well, when you think about an additional 1 to 3 on top of 6 to 10 inches of rain or more that's come down this week, that's why it's a problem. And obviously we need to track that in terms of river impacts, which I'll give you a look at the river levels in just a second. But again, just to show you, that's in line with what the Weather Prediction Center has. So through Sunday morning, basically they've got most of the area an additional 1 to 3 inches of rain, and kind of hinting at what much of our guidance shows. Some of the heavier rains may be falling along the 10-12 corridor and northward, kind of concentrated. So that's something we'll be tracking. Let's update you on the rivers now. Key point, forget the gentleman's name. We got a good email yesterday saying, Steve, please, reassure us and remind everyone that we're all worried about flooding. This is not going to be another 2016, and it's a great point. I probably hadn't said that enough. I know a lot of you have that sort of PTSD from the 2016 flood. So we've got a little bit of river flooding already happening, and there's going to be more to come into the weekend, but we're not expecting a 2016 event or anything close to it at this point. That's not to say there's not going to be impacts either. It's just not going to be anything in that magnitude the way it looks right now. So just need to make that point clear as we start to look at these numbers. So along the A-meet at Denham Springs, we are above flood stage, 30.8. Just updated these a few minutes ago, 30.8 feet at last check. Forecast right now to go to 32. I still think there's some potential that number gets nudged up a bit, maybe up around 33 with still some more rain to come. We'll see. Bayou Manchac Point, Pokey Delattery lives down there. Many of you might know Pokey. Pokey texted me. I think it was around 5 o'clock this morning. 10.5 feet was his updated reading down there. Remember at Bayou Manchac, if you're not familiar, we do not have one of the automated gauges. That's one of the staff gauges, one of the gauges that's stuck on down into the riverbed and somebody has to manually read it. Being Pokey, usually that gives us that reading. So 10.5 feet is what he had. Forecast to hit 11.5 at Bayou Manchac Point. Port Vincent, just below flood stage right now. Forecast to go 8.5, but I tell you what, I was looking at the current stage on Port Vincent, comparing it to the forecast curve. It appears to be running a bit above the forecast, so we could see this number increased as well. And with that, if you see any of these numbers increase, that will likely happen for all the sites downstream. French Settlement right now is at 4.4 feet. The forecast was 4.7. Probably, I think this one's going to end up a little bit higher. And then at Maurepas, we're nearing flood stage 3.9. We don't get a forecast from the River Forecast Center for Maurepas, but understand that one's going to continue to climb. The co-meet at Jor, remember, I think, we've all gotten so much more familiar and intimate with the rivers in recent years, given what we've been through. I think a lot of you know at this point, the co-meet's a pretty small river basin. So with that, it has a rapid response to rainfall, both up and down. So yesterday, the co-meet at Jor crested as high, I think got up to about 22.1. That was a pretty good forecast. The River Forecast Center had it cresting at 22. So I think got up to 22.1. Down to 18.3 this morning, but expected to rebound again with this latest round of rain and still some more to come. The crest right now that is forecast is right around flood stage at 20. That one could also go a little bit higher. And that's going to depend on just how much rain we get going forward. But right now, it doesn't look like anything major over the Comeet Basin. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on that. And again, highly dependent on how much more rain comes down later today into tomorrow. As we check on the tick fall, Liverpool 9.1 at last check. Forecast to hit 9.7. If you haven't picked up on, I forgot to mention, anywhere you see the green, that indicates if it's in the current stage column, that means it's above flood stage, and green in forecast indicates forecast to be above flood stage. So the tick fall at Montpelier, 13.6. Forecast to go up a few more inches as it stands right now. At Holden, 14.3, but forecast to climb another couple of feet to 16.5. So still pretty good rise on the way for Holden. And then the tick fall at Springfield, that one climbing slowly right now at 4.4 feet. That's another one of the spots where we don't get an official forecast, but additional rises will happen there. So that's another site we'll be tracking closely. And then finally, the Tangipahoa River, Osika, now forecast to stay just below flood stage. Same story at Kentwood, forecast to stay below flood stage. And the Tangipahoa at Amite also forecast to stay just below flood stage. Robert, though, right now checking in at 19.3 feet, is actually a little bit above what was forecast for the crest. We will see if the rains from this morning and going forward. Right now, the Weather Service doesn't show much of an additional rise along the Tangipahoa, but it's possible we could still see an additional rise with a little more rain to come. All right, having said all that, still some more rain to come, as we said. Make sure you've got our weather app, WAFB.com/weather app. If you haven't installed it yet, that page has the download links. Also walks you through some of the features that are available. Interactive radar, very helpful. Watches, warnings, you can display those. Also get alerts as they come out, the hour-by-hour forecast, the extended forecast, and videos that we post right here from in the Storm Center. Let me give you a look at the 10-day forecast now. A lull in the rains developing shortly, but more to come later today and tonight. More to come on Saturday, but it should be out of here by the time most of you wake up on Sunday morning. Sunday shows some rapid improvement, some sunshine returning, turns into a pretty nice day, a high around 70. Monday, a little disturbance, could bring a return to clouds, and I'm not going to rule out a stray shower, but right now not looking bad. Temperatures are going to be pretty nice into next week. Upper 40s Monday morning, highs in the low 70s, and overall Monday through Thursday, finally getting to enjoy a pretty good run of weather with those morning temps nice and cool, upper 40s to mid 50s, highs only in the low to mid 70s, good deal of sunshine. And then it's about a week from now, at the end of next week, next Friday, it looks like we could get some showers and storms returning once again. All right, that's about all I had. So let me take a peek down. Give me just a second. If you've got questions, go ahead, especially those of you that may be watching on my Facebook page, go ahead and pop those in. All right, let's see. I'm seeing Zachary, please. What's your question, though, specifically about Zachary? I'm scrolling up. I see you've got several comments. So when it comes to Zachary, again, 1 to 3 inches of rain on average going forward around the area. Could be locally higher in spots. But, if there's something else you need to know about Zachary, let me know. We've got that lingering, at least low-end severe weather threat. Main concern, any stronger storms, is still going to be hail, but damaging winds, not out of the question. One thing, as we talk about these big rains this week, one thing that has helped a bit, even though the numbers themselves are pretty impressive when you're talking about 6 to 10 inches of rain, and even higher in spots, is the fact that that 6 to 10 inches of rain has come in multiple rounds, spread out over multiple days. So, we've had these soakings, and we've at least had a chance for some of that water to drain off and run off before the next round hits. It's another huge difference between what's going on right now and what happened in 2016. Think about 2016. You had 10 to 25 inches of rain that largely fell in a day or two in most spots. We're on day 4 now of this rain event. We're talking 6 to 10 inches so far. So that's a big difference, and that's why this will not be anywhere close to what we saw in 2016. We even had some isolated totals back in 2016 topping 30 inches. Not seeing anything close to that. All right, let's see. Never has Zachary on our maps. I'm not going to fight with you here, but let me give you an example. Now, again, I'm not arguing with anybody, but Zachary very much absolutely does appear on our maps. I'm going to prove it to you here. Look at that. I just moved my radar a little bit. There's Zachary for you. So, no, Zachary appears on here quite a bit. I'm not sure if you're referencing maybe a specific rain total, something like that. I'll tell you, there's so many communities around the area, it's difficult to include everybody. I don't even remember. I might have Zachary. Yeah, and I've got Zachary on my rain map here as well. So through yesterday, about 4.5 inches of rain was reported in Zachary this morning. In fact, I could probably look that up for you. Let's see. Get an updated total for you because I had this pulled up in one of my browser tabs. We've got a couple of USGS sites up around Zachary. So White Bayou up around Zachary, 4.88 inches of rain. That's Tuesday through this morning. Comeet River near Zachary, 4.84 inches of rain. So that gives you an idea. So hopefully that answers some of your questions. Yeah, rain total you're saying. So there you go. We've got several sites in around Zachary reporting roughly 4.5 inches of rain. The estimate here, that little orange and red, might indicate that some parts of Zachary might have had more in the order of 5 to 6 inches plus. Please understand when you look at rain totals, and you see it here on the map, I hope. I know it's busy, but rainfall is highly variable over short distances. It's impossible to represent every community, every neighborhood. You know, as you look at the city of Baton Rouge here, again, this was yesterday, but you go from just over 3 inches at the airport to nearly 7 inches off Jefferson Highway. Pretty short distance as the crow flies. Just over 3 inches at the airport to cross the river and Lobdell, about 6 inches of rain. So unless you've got a rain gauge at your house, it can often be difficult for us to give us an exact number for your location, but that's a pretty good representation of what we've seen so far this week. All right, I don't see too many other questions. Okay, Will saying opinion on how high it gets at Port Vincent, 9.5. Possibly. 9, you know, seems like very realistic at this point, given where we are and given the trend and some more rain to come. 9.5 is not out of the question. So, you know, the one thing about river forecasts, and those of you that live close to the rivers, I think most of you understand it at this point in time. You know, these are best estimates because we have to account for rainfall going forward to understand where the river is going to end up. And there's always going to be uncertainty on how much rain. We have a rough idea, as we've talked about, that there's going to be roughly 1 to 3 inches probably falling down on the river basins going forward. But still, if you get a little less or a little more than that, it impacts ultimately where the river ends up. But I would say right now, if you're in Port Vincent, planning for a crest of at least 9 feet is probably a good idea, and understanding it could go a little bit higher. That's a good question. I forgot to get to that. Somebody asking about Pier Part. I apologize. I forgot to pull that up. There is a gauge down here. I've got another tab open. So Bell River at near Pier Part right now is checking in at coming up on 3.1 feet and still showing a slow climb. I did see a video, boy, this week is a blur. I think it was yesterday, somebody posted a video showing some flooding on Highway 70 down that way. If anybody's down that way anywhere between Pier Part and Morgan City, you might be able to update me, but I would imagine that's still the case. Let's see what else we can look at for you. Yeah, so then as you go closer to Morgan City, south of you in Pier Part, Lake Pelord, there's a gauge, Lake Pelord, you know, just north of Morgan City, checking in at 5.2 feet. And that also still climbing. So that area down there, Pier Part, you guys are very familiar with it. It gets a little bit tricky. You deal with rising water there around Bell River and Lake Verret. You can also sometimes get backwater flooding from the Atchafalaya. It's a complex setup, but just know that right now, still looking at the couple of gauges that I can see, at least a slow climb in levels. And with some more rain to come over the next day or two, I don't think you can expect it to go down at all, and probably at least a little more rise from whatever you are seeing. So again, anybody that's got any pictures or video down that way would appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, Travis saying some road flooding, but not too bad yet down that way. So thank you, Travis. And this is another good point, too. Brandy's pointing out that right now, the wind is kind of helping out a little bit with the Amite River. Some of these flooding events, we get heavy rain falling, and then we have this south or southeast wind, which really slows the drainage of the Amite and the Tickfall rivers, kind of causes things to back up from Lake Maurepas and even Lake Pontchartrain into Maurepas. This go around right now, we've got some northerly winds and westerly winds. The wind flow, the wind direction has been a little more favorable in that sense, at least keeping the water flowing downhill from the rivers into the lake, so that's helping a little bit. And we shouldn't see too much in the way of southerly winds, so that is one small bit of good news and a good point there from Brandy. All right, having said all that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So it's 9:55 now on this Friday morning. It's been a long week. This Friday morning. Before I wrap it up, I'll give you one more peek at radar. Show you this last little gasp of rain moving through Metro Baton Rouge, and that, as we expected, some drying moving in. But again, expect some rain to redevelop late this afternoon into tonight, and probably another round coming up on Saturday. Jared Silverman's in. He'll be here on 9 News at noon, get you through 9 News at 4 and 5. Jay Grimes will be here at 6 and 10. Any significant updates if needed, those guys will certainly get you through it. In the meantime, stay with us on air, online, our weather app, WAFB.com weather app for continuous updates. And just stay dry, stay safe. We'll see you back here later today, and I'll be back Monday morning.